You're listening to the WB Download, coming to you from Whelen Builders Showroom in Studio 1C. We are a podcast centered around building custom homes, the customer experience of building a custom home, and a really entertaining listen from many great guests and interviews that may or may not have anything to do with building. I'm excited to share with you their voice and their stories that will enhance your idea of the custom builder world. Welcome again, everybody. Thank you for being here on the WB Download. I'm Jeff Whelen, president of Whelen Builders, and we're grateful that you are here with us. Today is our 6th episode of 2024. Today is Tuesday, March 26th. Big things happening around here. The fact that it's March 26th already is driving me insane. I cannot believe that that's what's going on out here. I mean, man, we're already almost into to Easter and to everything else that we have going on. So, hey, there's some big things happening in the building world right now. This last week, I don't know if anybody heard about it or not, but there was a ruling that came out on the realtor commissions, the real estate commissions. And I really don't know what started this whole deal, but I believe it was something to do with the agents taking dual commissions on at full 6% when they were representing the buyer and the seller, which was not allowed, even though they had you sign forms that said you knew about it. And again, I don't know that for sure, and I can't speak intelligently about this because I haven't done enough research on it. Just hear bits and pieces of it. But what does that mean for you? I think that probably your agent and you, or the buyer or the seller, and the agent, are going to have to come to a predetermined agreement on what you're going to pay them and what you're going to do. So it's going to end up being like most sales that you deal with. There's a product in front of you. Has a price tag on it, and you decide if you are going to pay that or not. And if you're like most of the people I deal with in my life, you're going to negotiate maybe. So that's what that comes from. I don't know if it's going to help you or if it's going to hurt you. I think, in my opinion, or not my opinion, but from what I've heard, it's going to drive the price of the house down because you won't have as much closing cost on it. From what people say. The other thing that I've heard people saying is that it's going to weed out some of the agents that aren't really agents. And believe it or not, yeah, that's crazy to say. But I think you're going to get better representation because you're going to be dealing with a full-time agent that's out there kicking butt. So all of this is a big maybe. I don't think that they're quite settled on where it stands just yet. It was a ruling. And I think they've got a couple months before things go into effect here. But for all the full-time kick-ass realtors out there, I hope they continue to thrive and do good work and figure out this compensation thing, because there's some really good agents that really kill it and do good justice for people who are hiring them. And I hope those people work it out and continue to do a great job. The other thing that's happened is we have a new building code that's coming out. This happens every so often. And what a new building code means is there were just some additions and adjustments to the previous code. Most of this is what I consider, and I try and put this as politely as possible while I'm talking on air. Most of this is manufacturers lobbying people, in quotations, people, to get their products used in homes, and not just used, but making them standard in homes, which, and anytime you add more things that you have to do to this house, it drives the price of the house up. And so when, we build really expensive houses, and that doesn't mean that we're not price conscious. That means that there's a lot of things in that house, a lot of high-end, high-quality things that are in that house. We, as a home builders association, as an industry, pay attention to what we call affordable homes across the board. And just because I build expensive houses doesn't mean I'm not part of this industry and thinking about every cost that goes into it. Every time you add money to it, somebody else loses the opportunity to build that house. And it just drives you crazy. So there's things that the green, eco-friendly folks that get pushed into it, manufacturers get pushed into it, blah, 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 pushing energy efficiency into the code, all those kind of things. It drives the price higher and higher. So the people who are building a $200,000 house don't necessarily need an ERV system, a dehumidification system in their house, 2x10 walls, 2x6 walls, which makes the foundation bigger and makes all these things bigger, where appraisers aren't going to give you any value for it. They're certainly not going to put solar on those houses from the get-go. And I'm saying this in the terms of forcing you to do it. Now, if you're building a $200,000 house and you have the means to put solar on it, go ahead and put solar on it. That's what this world should be about, is free choice. Be able to do what you want to do, but you shouldn't be forced to do it. My $2 million house shouldn't be forced to do it because some clown has lobbied some other clown and they decided to have a meeting and pay a bunch of money and say, here's what we're going to make the building code do. The building code is supposed to be focused on the health and safety of the building and the people who are using it. And that is it. And the building code is a bare minimum. And I always tell everybody all the time, here at Wheeling Builders, we don't abide by the code because it's the bare minimum. And people expect us to do things greater in these more expensive houses. So enough of the rant. I've sat in building code seminars. I've listened to this stuff. I've gone through it for the last 30 years. And every time it comes out, rarely have I ever seen anything that comes out in this code that I go, oh man, that's a great idea. Never, never. And it just pisses me off. So anyway, believe it or not, builders are out there fighting on your behalf to keep those expenses down every single day. That's why we have home builders associations, we have state associations, we have national associations working for the benefit of our users, our customers, all the time. I'm not saying all builders are working. We have a short amount of builders who are working for everybody out there. So it's a tough deal. So anyway, we picked our site for the 2025 Homerama Show. We're going to be back in Mainville, Ohio again next year. And it's a beautiful community coming online. It's not developed yet. Has an awesome lake behind it. And it's just going to be great. I can't wait to bring you guys more information on that. You can keep an eye on our website for news things to come. Anybody who's thinking about building in this show, let us know because we want to build your house there. We hired a new office manager. Carrie is doing just an unbelievable job. She started here 2 weeks ago. She's killing it. I feel so confident in our team right now. And I'm so proud of all of them. It's amazing. I just never knew, my Builder 20 group, these guys keep saying, you're going to just keep working at it. Keep trying to find these people. And I feel like we're there now. And this machine is got some really good people that are just working on it. So I'm excited about it. We're building. Lots of things going on, albeit the weather has slowed us down a little bit here in March. Last several nights, it's gotten down into the 20s here. Last couple of days, it's only gotten up into the low 30s. And it slows us down because at this time of the year, we want to be planting, we want to be painting. We've got a lot of things going on. The wind has been blowing like crazy, and it's been making it tough. So looking like rain coming up in the next couple of weeks, which isn't any fun for builders or farmers. Homerama 2024 update. I told you all the time, I'll give you an update on this house. And we have all of our floors in, ceramics in, our real hardwood is in. So we put real hardwood in the house. And my friends over at Westchester Hardwood Floors, if you remember, we had Dan Stefano on the show a couple months ago. And he owns that company. So it's awesome to do business with friends. They put all the floors in the other day. And so now we're doing inside trim. These guys started in here last week and we're hanging doors, base, casing, waiting on the cabinets. But that's all right. They've got plenty of stuff to do in there. Bricks cleaned on the outside and we're getting ready we've been pouring some concrete out there this week on the exterior, trying to get ready for a couple things to happen on the outside. So man, that house is looking awesome. It's just so cool to see it come together and keep fiddling with it and as I always do with these things, and it's really turning out cool. So the other thing we're working on is our Cincinnati Reds opening day parade float. Every year we build this float in a parade. It's creeping up on us. It's this Thursday is the big day. Check out the parade on all of if you're local here in Southwest Ohio, it's on all the local channels. You get to see everybody coming through there. And the debate every year has risen, should opening day be a national holiday? So I'll vote for that, of course, because I think it's a fun day. It gives us another reason to take a day off. And then, the Daytona 500 is on a Sunday, so we don't need a national holiday there. So we could take one for opening day. Keep an eye out for us because we really put a lot of work into this thing. My son Cody and I have been killing it all week and last week here and a week before. My brother and me and Cody we have been working on it strong. So we're putting a lot of work into it, and it'll be a great day. We're trying to get things planted here on the farm, or there on the farm. I'm not there right now, but on the farm, but it's still a bit too wet. We went out to plant last week and just turned over the ground, and it was still a little too wet to get anything put in the ground for seed. And but we're fertilizing, getting getting our pasture fields ready, getting our hay fields ready. And we just had a couple new fields that we wanted to turn into pasture. We had a few calves since we've been talking last. We had a calf. Our last calf was born on St. Patrick's Day, so we named her Patty, and she's doing good. And Cody Steer is doing really good after his trip to the Ohio State University. So we're waiting on one more spring calf to come. Big old, we call her Katie cow. Her name's Katie. Waiting on her to kick that baby out. She's going to wait until the day she's due, apparently. And we pulled the bull. So the bull's back in his pen, and we'll wait until the end of April to come back in here and get the vet down here and do some pregnancy checks. So all good stuff. Lots of things happening as they are always. I'm telling you all the good stuff, and I have refrained from telling you all the bad stuff that pisses me off on a daily basis, which is not what this podcast is about. I should just let you have it. But I don't want to dig myself any deeper. So anyway, let's talk about today's show. Today, I'm going to take you through the highlights of outdoor living. I say this all the time. We're bringing the outside in and the inside out. We build these awesome outdoor spaces all the time that for 7 or 8 months out of the year, they're probably a part of your entertainment area for your indoor entertainment area, because we have all these huge doors that we're opening up. You're allowing people to go on the outside, come back through into the great room, into the dining area, into the kitchen, and this whole first floor makes itself the entertainment area for that open area, which also, I believe it or not, the way I feel is eliminates the purpose of a finished basement. I mean, people finish their basement as a fad, I think, anymore, and because you're doing so much outdoor living. And we're making so much entertainment on the first floor that you don't need anywhere else to go. But you know, a lot of times we're finishing the basements to put extra bedrooms down there, extra, you know, recreation areas. But anyway, so we have some pictures that we are taking, or that we're putting on our website. We're putting on social media. That's on the WB Download site, and you can follow along with me as I'm talking about these things, so you can see some of the things we've done that we are focused on. So we have separate areas on the outside to entertain, dine, and relax. But like I said, we're bringing the outside in, the inside out. Open these doors up, you can cruise on through the house. So covered porches are huge, and it's just unheard of for us to build a house without a covered porch on it anymore. Now, what do we do with that covered porch? We do some pretty cool stuff with it, because we do some cathedral ceilings back there. We leave the end of it open to have the cathedral showing out towards the back of it. We do some flat tray ceilings. We do some cool beams out there on that ceiling. We usually are putting a stained beadboard on there. Now we've been doing this pre-finished stained material on there on the ceilings. Can lights. We put some red, what do you call it? Like, it's a gas-fired inset heaters out there. So you get a couple more months of use out of those back porches. We put fireplaces back there, which is a huge deal. And most of the time we're making them wood burners, so you're getting a true ambiance back there on the back porch. And then you also, it depends on the lay of the ground, but if it's a walkout basement, it's typically a deck that we're building it on, which is composite Trex material. But if it's not, it's a concrete area and it's stamped concrete, or it's something really cool to do on the floor back there. So now I'm talking about the ceiling, I'm talking about the floor, and talking about a few other things that we like to talk about. In our 21 Homerama house, we did this sliding glass window. So the window folded open. I think there was 4 or 5 panes on it, and it folded open, and we had a bar on the first floor and we had a bar on the outside, and you open this window up and you can pass drinks in and out of the window. It was really cool. Had a whole separate area for it. And then the other part of it is we have grill stations, and we build these quite a bit. We built some really elaborate ones. I remember in 2014, we built this grilling station that had a big green egg built into it. It had a whole separate kitchen and had a whole separate living area. That was the Cheyenne, if you check out our website. That was in 2014, and people still call me up today and say, we love the Cheyenne. It was a really cool house. But another house we built that you're going to see as we cruise down through these pictures is Dalton Ross, and just a unbelievable outdoor area. This one had a walkout area on it. It has a covered porch. But we built this great big patio, had to build it up with retaining walls, do a lot of landscaping back there. We built a fire pit into the patio, which is not uncommon. Again, people find all kinds of ways to sit around it. And I feel like you get more use out of that than you do the fireplace on the covered porch, because you get more people to sit around there and just kind of chill and hang out. But it's also, that house had a great big screened in porch on it. So let's talk about screens. We talked about the ceiling and the floor, and we talked about the kitchens. Let's talk about the walls. The screens that we use most of the time are called, if it's a fixed screen, we use a product called Screen Ease, which, back in my day when I first started, we used to have the screens made down here in Sharonville. We'd give them all the sizes, and they would make them. They'd have metal frames on them, and then we'd have to put them in place with mullions going all the way around there and mullion strips and screwing those in there. If the screen busted, you had to pull all the wood off, had to pull the screen out, go down, have it remade, and bring it back in and put it together. Screen Ease, these guys don't make the screens. They come out with a roll of screen, and they put it all in place, and they put it. It's just an awesome process how they put it together. They'll make pretty much whatever size you want without having a break in it. And the other thing is if it gets damaged, they come out, take that one out, the screen part of it anyway, tuck the other one back in there. They're done and gone out of their way. Really, really cool. The other thing that we do a lot of times with these screens is we do what we call automatic screens or phantom screens. We get these, used to be pretty uncommon. We used to have to get them from one place out on the east side of town. Now our garage door company, AE Door, does them. We have a couple other people that do them, and they're really, really cool. So I don't know. I mean, they're super expensive. If we do an outdoor porch, like the one you can see in the picture here, if we did that one for $3,000 on the fixed screens, the automatic screens on that one would probably be $20,000 to $25,000. But you push a button, the screens roll up, and then all of a sudden you got just a covered porch. Push another button, screens roll down. Now you have a screened-in porch. People believe that the screens act as some sort of barrier, and maybe you get another month or so out of the use of space inside your porch. Screens are an awesome porch. I mean, my grandparents had one when I was growing up, and just screens are just give you a different livability, especially if you live like this house here was on a huge lake. Give you some comfort sitting on that porch. Another thing that we do, the retaining walls that we're talking about in this picture, but we use retaining walls not as an accent, but as a support system, because I wouldn't know what to do if somebody called me up and say, hey, I have this lot to build on. And I go out there and look at it, and it's a perfect rectangle, flat as can be. Looks like grass is growing on it. No trees, no hills, no creeks, no fall off, no trenching, no nothing like that. I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I don't know what to do. So we get into a lot of these places where everything we do, we need the ground rolls and has so much character to it that we have to provide structure to it. And we do this with Allen Block retaining walls. And we have some awesome companies that do these things, but some of them are really big. Some of them are small. Some of them are supportive. Some of them are decorative, but they look really, really cool. Another picture that we have here was a house we built over in Mason, and we have a covered porch area. It is really cool. It has a fireplace on it. Has everything that's going pretty cool on it, but it also has an uncovered area. So this is an area where you have a covered porch. You walk straight off to the side, goes over to a deck. It's an uncovered area. A lot of people like to be under the covered porch, have a place to get out of there. Maybe they'll put something like some couches over there. And then on the uncovered area, they have a table, they have a sun deck, they have their grill, they have a number of different things going on there. In this particular house, in that you can't see the fireplace in this picture because it was a two-way fireplace. This house has a fireplace that goes out towards the back on the porch, and it also has a fireplace. The other side of the fireplace goes into the dining area, just off the kitchen. So it was really super cool. Best of both worlds. Another thing that we do is, we have expansive screens like we talked about. There's another picture that's coming up here that I'm showing you where I think the screen was probably 16 feet wide. They get it really tight and super cool. You don't have to worry about it. You have a bunch of lines and obstructing your vision, but you can see that this house in particular is off the ground. So what we have to do is we still have to put the railing in there, and and then we put the screen down behind it. The other thing that's important to remember with screened-in porches, when you have a deck, you have to put the screen over the floor joist so that the bugs don't come up between the boards, and that's something that people forget about a lot of times. We also, on our decks, we use what we call a Trex rain escape system. And now this is where, before we put the decking on, we're putting a troffer system on that basically is a pitched covered plastic system that starts at the house, pitches out towards the edge of the deck, and then has a gutter underneath it. What this does is it allows us to have now a dual living space. And underneath, when you go to the walkout area below, you can have can lights in there. You can have a whole nother living space, couches. When it rains, snows, whatever, that area stays dry because it's not dripping down from the deck above, which is really cool. Really expensive, but really cool. We do that 99% of the time because it's just so easy to make that a dual living space. Really, really neat. Walkouts and first floor living. I could care less about a walkout. I like the first floor living where there's no walkout, only because everything stays on one level. You walk right out your back door. You walk out to your swimming pool. Usually you can have more of a backyard. If you have a walkout, it's obviously just really, really cool because you get to see the whole back of the house, which is, a lot of the places we build. But then you're walking down the stairs to your entertainment level. Usually you're walking down the stairs to the pool, walking down the stairs to the backyard. Again, I love to do whatever my customers want us to do. And whatever the lot allows for, we talked about that early last year, and it depends on how the lot lays, if you're going to get a walkout or not. Inside of a covered porch. So this next picture that you see here was our 2021 Homerama house, the Woodford. And this is really cool picture. It's really an awesome picture. When I'm looking at this thing, you can see the beams that we have on the ceiling. You can see the beadboard that I'm talking about. But you can also see this fireplace that's in there with TV above the fireplace. You can kind of see the decking there. To the right, you'll see a little bit of the outdoor grill area that you can see in there. But one of the cool things about this stone, it's a similar stone that we have on our office here, is I want to point this out to you. It's a mix of a field stone and a ledge stone. And it's got a little bit of black in it. We usually are pulling some Chris Strange, our stone guy, does an excellent job, been with us a long time. He'll pull some of the stones out. It takes a little bit more stone to do this, but pull some of the stones out because we're looking for a specific lay on all this stone. Pretty cool. Really cool stuff. That's a wood burning fireplace. A little smaller box on this wood burning fireplace, but you got to find out really what you want. You're looking for the ambiance. You're not necessarily looking for the heat to blare off of it. But you're looking for a real fire. You also, if you're planning on putting your TV above the fireplace, that mantle on a wood burning fireplace and a gas fireplace for that matter has to be by code so high above the fireplace, which pushes your TV up there higher. Something to consider when you're thinking about your indoor or outdoor fireplace. If you have a raised hearth or if the fireplace is sitting down on the flush flooring, all of those things come into consideration. This was on a Trex deck. Again, we did the Trex rain escape on this one. So when you go downstairs, the actual walkout door for this house was directly under the deck. And we did some really cool things. We did a patio off to the side, but we came out of there, put a bunch of gravel down, and it's just another space that you can live there. So the next picture that we have was our 2019 Homerama house, and this one shows where we had a concrete covered porch off to the left. You don't see much of it there, but then over to the right we had a dining area, and they had some other chairs and things that you can. But this one was partially covered, and then the rest of it was open. So we had a full covered porch, we had a partially covered deck, and then we had an open deck on the outside of it. You can see those lights. I have those lights at my house as well, draping over the backyard. I just think they're such a cool look out there, both when they're off and when they're on. Provides an unbelievable light out there, but we stretched some lights out there to make it a little bit more cool. That was our 2019 Homerama house. So this one, the next picture we have is a home that we built for one of my best friends growing up, and it's up in Hamilton. And there was an existing home on the property. We called it the cottage, and most good zoning codes, they won't let you have two structures on there, so they make you tie the structures together. And And so this is a big long deck that runs from the house that we built over to the existing cottage that was there. So it's really a pretty cool picture. This was a pre-finished ceiling that we put on here, and it had a tint of gray to it. Just really, really cool stuff to use. It's got a nickel gap to it. And as you can see, the lights that she picked out to put on there, there's sconces on every post going down through there. There's these really cool, they look like lantern lights hanging down from the ceiling. And then we did the railing that's got the cable vertical spindles in it and running all the way through this whole area. So actually, I shouldn't say through the whole area. This one only had the railing where it was too tall to not have railing per code. So as you get a little bit closer up to the cottage, the railing goes away. But that's a cool picture to see every time you walk out there. The next picture down, we talked about multiple levels in there, but the next picture down is a house that we built up in Cedarville, Ohio, and a huge back area. But they were using this house mainly for entertainment, believe it or not. And so they had a lot of different areas that we built on the outside of this. This is a Trex railing. It's a Trex decking. And then we had the beadboard ceiling on the ceiling there. One of the things you'll notice is it's what I call a leaderboard that goes in between there on the decking. They only make decking so long. And I don't like to take that Trex and step it like we used to with the old wood decking and have joints everywhere. As much as we can, we like to try and stop it all in one spot, run a leaderboard through it, and then start again. And this only works really if you have a really long area that you're going through. If you have a 16-foot wide deck and they're only selling 14-foot material, you don't want to do this because then you're buying double the material and it gets a little bit expensive. But there's so many different ways you can do it. Something else to talk about with our decks is we rarely use face screws or nails on our decking. We're using what we call a hidden fastener system. So you can see that deck on all of these pictures. As you look across there, it's smooth. You're seeing the wood grain composite material, and you're not seeing a bunch of nail heads. You're not stepping on them, and then it looks just horrible when you do that. I think, anyway, that's my opinion. So if we go to the next picture here, this is one of my claim to fame here. This was our 2018 Homerama house, the Ashby Manor. And I can't remember where I thought about this. I thought, man, if I know where I thought about the gravel. So that you can see a picture here. It's got some decorative gravel. We did this in 2014 on the back of the Cheyenne, way down over the hill. We built this fire pit. And I thought that was really cool. But the trellis that we built there, got the bright idea to do this one day. We wrapped it all in cedar, made some makeshift little half rounds and some things, and we cut all the trusses out of it. A guy named Jim and I built this, that worked here for a long time, built this. And so this house was an all hardy plank siding house, which is a concrete fiberboard material. Turns out awesome. You can see. Comes off the back out of a big 16-foot wide sliding glass door unit and goes into a covered porch that has a fireplace on it. And this porch was screened in with fixed screens. You walk out through that door, and then the garage is that part of the building that you can see over to the left. Created sort of an L shape that goes around this patio back here. The patio was stamped concrete, and so let's talk about that. We didn't talk about that before. It was stamped concrete versus exposed aggregate concrete versus regular concrete versus decking. And usually the difference between a porch and a patio is the porch usually has foundation underneath it. It has a structure above it, and the patio is just a slab that we're pouring on the subgrade outside, and it floats up and down as the ground freezes and thaws. And stamped concrete, this is what we call a decorative concrete. This concrete is really labor intensive to put down. We color it typically from the manufacturer, from Ernst Concrete. I'll send a truck out. It's got the color in it already. We have another color that's a powder that we're going to put on it. It's called a release, and this gives it a two-tone look. It'll give it a darker look, a lighter look. It's hard to explain without looking deep into the picture of it. And then we have these different patterns that the guys use. And these are rubber patterns. Some of them come on a plastic wheel. Some of them the guys try and make themselves. And there's so many different things that you can do with this. And it's just super labor intensive. So I can't explain it to you unless I'm sure you could probably YouTube a video of it and they'll show it to you, but you can come out on a job and watch us do it. But stamped concrete is really cool. And then we have broom finished concrete or a swirled concrete. We went to a broom finished concrete, which is what 99% of what you see out there. And we went to the broom finish from the swirl. We used to swirl everything, which has these little half moon, looks like a broom went in a half moon all the way around your whole flat work concrete on the exterior. We quit doing that because it pulls all the cream up out of the concrete. And then when in Ohio, you have so much of a freeze thaw process that your car pulls up on the driveway, has salt from the streets when you've been driving around all winter long, starts to melt, drips down onto the concrete. And then the salt is a terrible thing for concrete, starts to poke in at the surface of it, creates these pits. The pits get water in them, and then boom, pops the top of them off. And then all of a sudden you look at your concrete and you can see aggregate all through it. And there's all kinds of things happening to it. It looks horrible. So we quit swirling for the most part. I love the swirled look on a concrete, and I'd like to do it on our Homerama house this year, but I don't want to mix and match it with the broom. And I've asked some my professional friends opinions on this thing who are concrete finishers, and they're like, pick one. We're not stamping a concrete because it's really, really expensive to do certain areas that we've got going on out there. But so this was a stamped concrete patio, and then we rolled on out. As you can see, these logs sitting around here. We built this decorative graveled fire pit area. So there's this gravel sitting there, and then just in the middle of it, we put some logs in there, and we just started a fire. And it's really cool because it looks awesome, but had a lot that I was clearing at the time. I think we might have took these logs off of this house, and we just set some logs around there, and everybody goes out there and sits there. Now, the guy that I sold this house to, we built this house as a market house. And he told me later on that they had just, I don't want to get into a story, but anyway, they have 7 people in their family, and I had 7 logs around that fire pit to sit on, and he thought that was a sign, and that's why he wanted to buy the house. One of the reasons why he wanted to buy the house. Hey, I'm going with it, whether you believe it or not. I think it's a cool story. But so the trellis was just something where we tied some lights onto it, some string lights with exposed bulbs on it for outdoor use. And we had that whole patio. So if you go to our website, you'll see some of those nighttime pictures of the Ashby Manor. The other cool thing about the Ashby Manor, and I'll just tell you this, is because we're talking about exteriors, is this house was one of the number 1 most viewed houses on Houzz, Houzz, in the country. And that's a pretty big deal. We got a little thing from Houzz that said, "Hey man, your house is really killing it." And I love that house. So it was a huge pride for us. The next picture is another one. You saw this picture earlier, but this is the house we built down in Ross. This is an exposed aggregate patio. An exposed aggregate is basically where we pour the concrete out. We wait till it gets to a certain part of hardness out there, and then we take a hose and we rinse the cream off the top of it, and it exposes the ag to it, and then we seal it, and it turns a different color. And it's really, really cool stuff. It's all of the stamped concrete and the exposed ag, when we seal it with the sealer that we're required to seal it with, it gets super slick. And I mean super slick. So when it rains, you're going to walk out there and it's like walking on ice. The other painful part about those two things is you're supposed to seal your concrete every year, no matter what finish is on it. But when we seal this with this sealer out there, and whatever it is with the stamped concrete and exposed ag, you have to seal it every year just to keep the color and making it look like something. It's really expensive and really labor intensive to do that. Another thing we did on this house that is on the bottom picture here is you can see where we built a half wall retaining wall. We're using that as part of our railing, and this was a bench also, and they've got some Adirondack chairs that are sitting around there. It serves a purpose for people to sit in front of it or sit on it, which is pretty neat. That's all a stone wall on top of an Allen block wall, and then you can see the exposed ag stairs that we built coming down to the landscape rocks going down onto the stairs coming down below that. Landscapers just, man, it just turns the place on. It's so cool to see the things. And that was always my favorite day. As if people say, what's your favorite part? When I was a kid working at Homerama, and we were, we were building the show, coming down towards the end, when it was landscape time, you could smell that mulch, and the guys were laying sod, and sprinklers were running, and I just remember those times, and I could see a picture of new landscaping, and I can smell the picture. So it's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite times. So let's talk about outdoor kitchens and grill stations again. We talked about that pass-through window earlier on our 21 Humorama house. This was a big Pella window that it folds open, and we did this on another house out in Anderson as well for some customers of ours. Just opens that house up and just creates a whole nother space. Pretty cool part. On the opposite side of that, we have a grill with a countertop, and most of the time with a grill, we have another stainless steel set of doors underneath there to access underneath the grill. These grills need natural gas or propane run out to them, and they also need electric ran out to them most of the time because they have to have a rotisserie on them. They have lights on them. You want electric out to this thing anyway because you're going to be plugging stuff in if you're serving people out here. Something to keep in mind with your grilling area is that if you are the person who's spending most of the time on a grill, you have to keep the grill, and you want to keep a grill in an area that's probably the smoke and all the stuff is going to flow out, and not be under the cover and just running everybody out from the covered porch. If you're doing this, make sure you still try and keep it within the mix of everything, because if you're spending all your time over there grilling while you're having a party, you don't want to be out around a corner by yourself, not being able to talk to everybody. So you want it in a close locale to where you can talk to people. If you are, and going down a couple pictures here, if you are under the grill, under the covered porch area, you can put a hood on it. And so this is a big 60-inch hood that we have above this. So this outdoor grill area, if you go 2 pictures down, this is a house that we built over in Indian Hill, and just a really cool, huge grilling area. This is when it was under construction, this wonderful picture that we have of this, the picture we're going to use, has a sink, and then has a door underneath the sink so we can access it. That sink has to be maintenance in Ohio here because it's cold weather in the wintertime, and you have to be able to turn that sink off so it doesn't freeze. The next one below that was an ice chest underneath there. And so you pulled that thing out, and you had a bunch of ice that was in there. It was really cool, insulated, cooled unit. And above that had a double side burner. You come over to the grill there. That's why that hood's 60 inches wide, because it's covering both of those burners and the grill. Great big old grill. And underneath that had 2 drawer sections and a door section. The part that's missing there is the under cabinet refrigerator. And then the one all the way to the right was the trash can slide out. And so the hardest part about this is there's not a good way for the architect to draw this for us until we get to the point where we know what all these things are. So a lot of times we're drawing it. We're trying to figure out the measurements. We're building this thing, putting it all together. You got countertop. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this thing. And as you can see with this great big old hood going out through the ceiling, it was a lot. A lot of things going on. In the second picture down, this was this guy that we built this house for. He actually bought this as a kit, and I'm not a big kit guy because most of the time when you get a kit, it comes out and looks like a kit. But this thing turned out pretty cool. We built it out there, and actually my brother and those guys built it out there and put it all together. And then Chris came and laid the stone on it, and then we put the countertop on top of it. You can see that it's got a sink. We stubbed everything out of the house on that side, and then once we got it built, then we ran everything on down. So it's got the sink, it's got the side burner, it's got a couple under cabinet doors in there, it's got the great big old grill, and just a really cool place to be able to entertain everybody. The other picture we have down here, again, you can see where we built the grill. You built a big countertop on it, and everything underneath it. These grills are super cool, and I never realized. I always thought I was just a horrible griller because I had a horrible grill. And then I bought a pretty nice grill, not like this. It's still a freestanding grill, but I bought a pretty nice grill. Maybe 8 years ago or so, and took some instruction on how to grill with this grill. And man, when you have the right, it's just like anything else. Like Mr. Naderman used to say in high school, when you got the right tools, you're going to do the right job. So it's the grill is really, really important for you. So let's go into the next pictures here. This is my friend's house up in Hamilton, and we built for him. And you can see that this is a sliding window that goes all the way across there. You open this window up, opens it up to the outside, and then they have a bar outside and they have a bar inside. This is their first floor. So this is their kitchen. You can see this great big bar. And then you can look over there and see the island in the kitchen, the hood in the kitchen, the dining area, the dinette in the back. And so that we want all this entertainment space on the first floor. So you're opening this window to the outside in. If you look to the next picture down, this is that you can see the window to the left, but then you can see this multi-slide Pella door that's coming across there. I think this door was 25 feet wide, so the picture's not really doing it justice. And it doesn't fold back. It slides back. So it slide. And it's about, by the time it's all said and done with, it's probably a foot and a half wide when it gets back to the wall where all the pieces are coming together. And it's really neat. Opens that house up. And now these windows and these doors that we're using, are the ones that allow us to bring the outside in and the inside out. And I always worried when I tell people, I'm like, we're putting a sliding glass door in here. And I think they think about the old vinyl sliding glass doors that, a 2-year-old could break in and steal everything you own. And you have a broom handle wedged in the door to try and keep it locked for security. That's not what these are. These are some of the finest doors in the world. They're really super heavy. They have multi locks in them. They have foot locks on them. They have a door lock in the center of it. And plus they're just super efficient, super heavy, and really cool doors that allow your house to open up. So you can see we did one on the first floor, and then we also did one down on the lower level of this house too, and just open it up because they do a lot of entertaining, a lot of space. You can see this area has a fireplace on the outside. Just directly below that, there's another fireplace in the basement. This is all a covered deck area. This one had an open area and had a screened in porch area, and just really, really cool. I can't say enough about this house. Going back up to the Ashby on this next picture, this is the Ashby Manor again. And one of the things that people loved about the Ashby Manor is it had a huge front porch on it. So we were in a cul-de-sac on this house, and you think about the kids out in the street playing with their neighbors and doing different things. You can sit in the front porch of this house, and it was bigger than the back porch, had a fireplace on it in the front porch, and just really, really cool. There was doors that opened up into the dining room. The front door was over there, and this is nuts. I haven't built one like this with a front porch on it since, but man, I just remember when building this thing, I kept visualizing and seeing how it would be. And when we were entertaining during the show that year, we would sit on the front porch, and it was really cool deal. But it's something that, how many people would say, yeah, I want a front porch. Sure. How about a front porch that you're going to use? My house at home has a 9 foot wide or 9 foot deep by 45 foot long front porch on it that the birds use and Amazon uses. And I'm glad I could make that space so sweet for them, because we don't use it because we're entertaining in the back and we're on a farm. How many times we're sitting on the front porch? We should, but we don't. But it looks cool. This one is usable. And you have a fireplace on the front porch. Something to think about. Go out of the norm, and do something really, really cool. This next picture down here is shows you another ceiling detail that we have. This is the house we built over in Mason, and as you walk up to it, it's not a huge front porch because these folks knew that they were going to be entertaining in the back a lot. It's certainly welcoming as you walk up. This picture makes it look a million times larger than what it is, but look at the detail that we use here. So just this goes back to that saying when I'm talking about we in the business of builders or architects have a saying that you feel comfortable in a space and you don't know why. You think something looks awesome, but you're not really sure why. I can look at some of the ugliest houses in the world that I've seen built around here specifically, and I can tell you exactly why. But then you look at a picture like this and you're like, man, that is cool. Think about this. Those columns are probably 2 feet wide, square. They come up 36 inches. They go up to these really nice wood columns that are painted really good. You're walking up to an 8 foot tall arched wood mahogany front door with beautiful glass, true divided light glass doors in it. And then think about the small things that you can see here. The beadboard ceiling that's up there just brings this touch of class. Think about that word, class, on how cool this is to pull up here. Look at these pictures of the outsides of our houses and think about how classy they are. But then you see this chandelier hanging down in the middle of there. It's just something so simple as that turns this thing, and you're like, man, that's really cool. Look at that thing. And then it also has the front porch sconce lights over there, the coach lights on each side of the door. But the cathedral coming back to it, you tie all this stuff in together. If I'm walking up to this house, I'm going, man, I love this place. I think I want to stay here. And then to add the flowers to it, turns it all around. So you go down to the next picture. This is my friend's house that we built, and it's just this picture again is only showing maybe about 70% of the front of this house. And the front porch on here is so cool, but the things that you can't see, there's really detailed metal porch roofs on here, standing seam metal porch roofs on here. The huge arch on the front porch is all metal, and which is really cool. But when you go up to it, it was stamped concrete on the front porch. The front door is something that it doesn't do it justice because it's like 10 feet wide. Those side lights were like, I think, 1.5 feet wide each, and then goes into the huge arched front door. And then on each side of that, those were both studies and a library. They have doors that open up to go into each one of those rooms coming out on the front porch. And it was cool because they both knew how they were going to live. She did an awesome job of laying this house out and thinking about what she wanted. And of course, Mark, our architect, did a good job of bringing that to reality and to plans. Big circular driveway coming around there, and they have a fountain in the middle of the driveway. But they do a really good job with their landscaping and their landscape people. So you can see all the green and all the color that brings this thing to life. But the pattern concrete, this stone was a special stone that we brought in and laid that and just makes it. There's such a big difference in stone that'll turn the house on. If we're using a regular everyday stone that you're going to see every day, and I don't even want to say it because I don't want to upset anybody, but stone and brick have the tendency to be a standard where people are like, we hate siding and we want to put brick on that house. Well, then the people suck at putting siding on. They're going to suck at putting brick on too. It's not just about the materials. It's about the labor and the skill of people putting it on, but it's also about the quality of it. So when we're using brick, I like to use this brick that's just, one of the cool bricks that we use is a Statesville brick. And this is not a common brick. It's not squared edge. It's usually queen size, where it's rolled, it's tumbled, and it's got these cool colors to it. One of the coolest bricks I ever use, if you go to our website and you see the Millard Fillmore house. Looks like a brownstone row house, 5 stories tall, down in on East End. And this brick is oversized, orangish looking, just a really, really cool brick. We ran a grapevine, messy tool joint in it, and I loved every second of it. I kept taking pictures of it every day the guys were laying it. We use that brick a lot. We've used the same thing, Statesville brick, on our Home Rama house this year, and we're painting it, but we wanted this certain tumbled look to it. And people keep coming up and smacking me in the back of the head every day going, why are you painting that brick? It looks so cool. But the stone is the same way. I mean, our stone mason, Chris Strange, does an unbelievable job of what he's doing, but it takes a specific cool stone. I don't want everyday stone on these houses. You can see the mix and match that we did on the Ashby. You can see this other square cut that we did on the house in Mason, and then the house on my friend's, or the stone on my friend's house here, was just a mix that you don't get to see all the time. Really, really cool stuff. Look at the columns on the front porches. Make sure that the columns, I see people putting stone on the base of a column, and the stone is like maybe 8 inches wide. Looks like you literally bought a prefab kit to put around there. Don't put stone on it if it doesn't call for it. Don't put stone on it if it's not going to make it look cool. There's only times that it's called for it, and I see a lot of times people are like, oh, it's a cool house because it's got stone on it, or they think that, and they didn't do a very good job of tying the whole balance of everything together. Really, really important. Pools are a big deal. So on this last pictures, and people are always wanting to put a pool in, and we put it in while they are while we're building. And I don't want anything to do with this. So the customer contracts with this pool company. We manage it with them, and we stub all the utilities out for them, and we take care of the dirt most of the time while we're out there. And it depends on what we do with the concrete. But pools are a big deal because people want to get it in there, be done with it, not have to mess around with it later on. So we want to do it while we're during the build. But something that we do a lot of times is and not necessarily building a pool house, so to speak, but we're building a pool bathroom. That's got a changing area in it, probably has a dryer in it, maybe a washer and a dryer, has a little space in there for a bathroom, a shower, or a changing area, somewhere where you can keep the pool linens. You can walk directly in to that area from the outside instead of wet kids or people running in and out of your house and dripping water all over the place. And then you look at the entertainment area that you have. So that second picture down that's what that is really. That's why we showed that picture. It's a pool bathroom tied onto the back porch. You cannot, on this particular house, which isn't the only time we've done this, you can't access this bathroom from anywhere else in the house. You have to go outside and access it from out there. It's pretty cool. But then you can see on the bottom picture, we built this house over in Liberty Township, and they tied their pool into the covered porch area, and there's a basketball court. There's all kinds of things going on over there. You can see some doors coming off of the primary bedroom, and coming out to the pool area, which again is really, really cool. There's a fireplace on the back porch. But if you look at this covered porch area, you can see those truss beams that we did up through there. And that's what I was talking about, leaving the end of it open and creating an area where it just looks really, really cool. And so that house really turned out awesome with that pool back there. The second picture down is also the house on the second picture to the right. And we built this house up in Mainville for some really cool people. And they put a kidney shaped pool in there. We wedged this thing in there. There's not a lot of room in the backyard to get the pool in there. And we built some retaining walls and got the thing in there, and they love it. And it turned out really awesome. You can see the screened in porch there. And there's a partially covered patio on the back of there. And that goes into their great room and into their dining area. And it provides enough patio space to lay out and hang out. So the other one, the first picture up there, is a house that we just looked at it. It's got the big long deck that comes across it, covered, uncovered, screened in area, big doors, lots of things. Look at those fireplaces and look at those chimney caps that we put on there. Just really, really cool, awesome stonework. And this thing sits up on top of a hill, and you just look for miles and miles and miles. But to be in that pool back there and hang out on those areas, such a cool place to be for entertaining. I'm talking about so many different things: the seating areas, the storage areas, the pool house areas, the mud room for the pool bath, so to speak. Just the outdoor grilling areas. Outdoor living is where it's at. And I know it's crazy. Sometimes I get home, especially in the summertime, and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is be outside still. But when it gets to the part where everybody else is out there, the kids are out there, and my wife is out there, and everybody's living life and enjoying it, man, it just brings a different tone to what you're thinking about when you come home and you go outside, which is crazy to me. Everything I think about a house, I'm thinking about living in it and not living with it. And so you got to live with your home. Think about these things while you're designing your home. Think about these things when you're thinking about moving. Whatever you're thinking about doing, it's possible. So take a good look at these pictures. Take a good look at our website, and see the different cool things that we're doing with our customers. And I think you'll get it. Get a kick out of it. So anyway, thanks again, everybody, for listening. As always, I appreciate you guys being here. I hope you enjoyed this stuff today. People are always talking to me about what's the hottest trend, what's the newest thing. And I was like, man, I don't know if there's anything innovative that we're doing that people haven't seen, but the outdoor living and these outdoor grill areas and all the stuff we're doing on the outside, that's definitely something that's big, and people are really, really interested in getting accomplished on their home with us. So again, thanks again. And so we've got some really cool guests coming up and here in a couple of weeks. And I'm going to tell you who they are. One of them is John Sauerland from Moen. Moen is our plumbing fixture supplier. They do a great job. We formed this relationship with them about, I'd say almost 14, 15 years ago. And John does a great job with us. He's been a team member of ours for a long time. And then I also have a guy named David Dries from the Dries Company coming up on the show. And David's a friend of mine, but he's also he owns one of the largest privately owned building companies in America. And they're based right here in Northern Kentucky. And I'm excited to talk through industry happenings with these folks, with John and with David. But I mention these guys to you right now because if you guys have any topics that you would want me to talk to them about, any questions that you have for them, I'd love to hear them. And I'm sure that they would too. You can email me at wbdownload@wielandbuilders.com. That's WBdownload@WIELAND builders.com. So thanks again, everybody, for listening. The next episode will come out the second week of April, believe it or not. Happy Easter, happy opening day to everybody, and enjoy everything you got going on. Don't forget that we come out on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, email me, call me, stop in our office, shoot me a message, do whatever you got to do. Check us out at wielandbuilders.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, of course, and stay in tune with us. Thank you for everybody for being here. I'm Jeff Wieland on the WB Download.